Some men are born to rule a home. Some rule a city. But once in 1,000 years, one is born to rule the world and leave it in chaos when he dies. They called him a man, but Israel would remember him as a storm that shook the bones of Rome. The boy was born in the heat of a Roman summer, in the month that would one day bear his name. Gaius Julius Caesar entered the world on July 12 or 13 in the year 100 BCE under the roof of the noble but declining Julian family. His people were patricians, high-born Romans descendants. It was said of Venus herself, through the Trojan prince Aeneas, the myth was ancient, but in Caesar's house, myth lived side by side with politics. He grew up on the edge of greatness and danger. His father, a respected Roman official, died when Caesar was just 16. That same year, the burden of manhood fell upon his shoulders, and with it came the tangled mess of Roman politics. Civil war loomed between two powerful men, Gaius Marius, Caesar's uncle by marriage, and Lucius Cornelius Sulla, a fair general who would soon seize Rome as a dictator. Caesar, tied by blood to Marius and loyal to his wife Cornelia, the daughter of one of Sulla's enemies, refused to abandon his marriage, even when ordered to do so by Sulla himself. It was a very dangerous defiance. They say this boy is trouble, Sulla grew to his allies. There are many Mariuses in him, but despite his fury, Sulla let Caesar live. Still, Rome was not safe for the young man, so he had to flee the city, leaving behind wealth and comforts, trading silk for steel, and soon found himself in the rough provinces of Asia Minor, joining military campaigns and learning the hard language of war. Caesar grew faster than most. He fought bravely, was awarded the civil crown for saving a fellow soldier's life, and sharpened not just his sword, but his voice. In Rhodes, he studied rhetoric under the greatest teachers of the time, and returned to Rome as not only a warrior, but an orator who could command silence with a whisper. He rose through the ranks, military tribune, quaestor, then aedile, where he entertained the Roman people with grand games and spectacles, but he did not yet hold real power. That came through a clever alliance. In 60 BCE, Caesar forged a secret bond with two giants of Rome, Crassus, the richest man in the Republic, and Pompey the Great, Rome's most celebrated general. Together, they formed the first triumvirate, an unofficial trio that controlled Rome from behind the curtain. While Crassus had gold and Pompey had legions, Caesar had charm and ambition, and now he set his eyes on a greater prize. In 58 BCE, Caesar was appointed governor of Gaul, a vast and wide region stretching across what we now call France and Belgium. There were tribes there, fierce and proud, who had resisted Rome's reach for generations. Caesar did not go to Gaul to govern, he went there to conquer. And so began the Gallic Wars, a brutal and brilliant campaign that would last nearly a decade. He wrote his own account of it, Commentari di Bello Gallico, not just to inform Rome, but to craft a legend. In it, he described the battle after battle, tribe after tribe falling to the might of his legions and the cunning of his mind. He faced Helvetii, the Barge, and the terrifying German king, Ariovistus, whose warriors painted themselves in blood and charged with no fear of death. Caesar beat them all. But the true test came in 52 BCE, when a great Gallic chieftain named Vercingetorix united the tribes against Rome. The fortress city of Alesia sat high on a hill, surrounded by walls and warriors. Vercingetorix had sealed himself inside with his army, hoping to wait Caesar out, but Caesar did not attack. Instead, he built a wall 11 miles long, wrapping around the city to trap the defenders inside. Then, to protect himself from the rescue army gathering outside, he built a second wall, this one facing outward, with spikes, traps, and ditches. His legions were now surrounded by enemies in front and behind. For days, Caesar's men fought on two sides. They stabbed, bled, and nearly broke, but they held on. And when the battle turned, it was with fury. Caesar's army crushed the reinforcements, breached the city's defenses, and captured Vercingetorix alive. The Gallic king knelt before Caesar, silent in defeat. Gaul was Rome's now, but Caesar's victories had made him so powerful. Back in Rome, the Senate, afraid of his popularity and the loyalty of his soldiers, ordered him to disband his army and return as a private citizen. Then, Caesar stood at the edge of the Rubicon River, the border between his province and Rome. He looked to the water and said, "Alea iacta est." He said, "The die is cast." He crossed the Rubicon with a single legion, and by Roman law, it was an act of civil war. His former ally, Pompey the Great, now led the Senate's forces. They clashed across Italy, Greece, and finally at Pharsalus in 48 BCE, where Caesar's outnumbered army crushed Pompey's legions. Pompey fled to Egypt, seeking safety, but Caesar had sent word ahead. When he arrived in Alexandria, Pompey was dead, murdered by Egypt's boy king, Ptolemy XIII, in a bid to win Caesar's favor. Instead, Caesar mourned. He wept for his old rival, and then turned to the other power in Egypt. Cleopatra VII, Ptolemy's sister and co-ruler, entered Caesar's life not through politics, but through mystery. Legend says she was smuggled into Caesar's chambers, rolled up in a rug, revealing herself not as a girl in hiding, but as a queen in control. Caesar helped her reclaim the throne. She gave him a son, Caesarion, and he gave her Rome's protection. But Rome still called to him. He left Egypt behind, though never truly, and returned to the city that now whispered his name in fear and awe. Caesar was now a dictator for life. He reformed the calendar, the Julian calendar we use today. He expanded the Senate, reduced debt, gave land to the poor, and granted citizenship to outsiders. He ruled with speed and clarity, but also with power that no man had had since the time of the kings. And the Roman Republic did not like kings, so they plotted. They planned, and on a morning in 44 BCE, they struck. It was March 15, the hardest of March. Caesar entered the Senate, surrounded by men he knew, some he had trusted for years. But then they drew knives. 60 men, 23 wounds, and 1 sinus. Among them stood Brutus, a man Caesar called his own son in spirit. "Et tu, Brutus," Caesar whispered, meaning, "Even you, Brutus." And with that, the most powerful man in Rome fell. The conspirators rejoiced, but their hands were red, and the people were afraid. Rome did not return to peace. Instead, it fell into chaos and war. Mark Antony rose. Octavian, Caesar's heir, came of age, and together they hunted Caesar's killers, burned the republic, and built the empire. Julius Caesar was declared a god, His name became a title: Caesar, Kaiser, Tsar. His life had ended, but his shadow never left the world. He died on a cold marble floor, surrounded by the men he once called brothers. But Julius Caesar did not vanish into history as just another Roman general or another funny consul, another man with a crown in his eyes. He became more. Rome, shaken by his death, did not bury him in silence. They lit his name into the stars. The Senate declared him Divus Junius, a god. His adopted heir, Octavian, would rise as Augustus, the first Roman emperor, carrying Caesar's torch into empire. But Caesar's shadow stretched further than marble statues or battlefield maps. He rewrote the calendar, giving us the Junior system, whose bones still structure our modern time. He gave his name to rulers, Caesar, Czar, all born from the echo of Caesar. His writings, like Commentary de Bello Gallico, are still read today, nearly 2,000 years after. And the month in which he first cried out in this world, July, was renamed to honor him. So every year, when the sun climbs highest and July arrives, we do not just mark a season. We remember the man who crossed the Rubicon, who crushed Gaul beneath Roman steel, who stood at the edge of a republic and dared to wear a crown. We remember Julius Caesar, the soldier, the orator, the lover, the lawgiver, the man they feared and could not forget. He lived like lightning and died like thunder, and history never stopped whispering his name.